Thank you very
Excellent.
much.
Wow.
Welcome to Frankenstein Tea at the beautiful Aldrich Public Library.
We are in the director's office, and I'm the director, Kristin. I am new to town, and if I haven't met you yet, please come in and meet me.
And I'm Ian Gothier. I'm the children's librarian here at the Aldrich Public Library, and we have a beautiful picture of the library right behind us, hanging on the wall. So
we have a beautiful set today.
We do have a beautiful set.
We have a beautiful set today.
Yes, we moved to a different room of the library, and I think our plan is maybe to move around to different rooms of the library to give you a glimpse of the entire library.
Correct.
So keep on watching.
Keep on watching.
So
does anybody know who that was? That song?
Oh, that song, yes. So that song was The Mill, which is a Robert Burns poem and song. And I was playing the Scottish small pipes. So The Mill, that's a little hint for what we're going to be reading about today. So reading some poems of the poet Robert Burns.
This is Frankenstein Tea, celebrating Robert Burns. Frankenstein Tea is a weekly program we do here at the Aldrich. And I want to say that Frankenstein Tea is a little bit of a nod to days gone by of when COVID was really a monster of a disease and we had a monster of a time. It's also a permissible read as far as copyright laws. And so, from those little tidbits, we devised a program where we read to you. We're usually live. Today we're recording because we have a couple of other special tidbits to come your way during this program today. But I want to start with a little bit of a mental health check-in. I want to say that we do this check-in in the spirit of mental health having no stigma and no shame, right? So we start there. It's a really ground base rule of mental health. No stigma, no shame. So, quick check-in. Have you showered? Have you eaten a meal and drank enough water? Are you thinking kind thoughts about yourself and others? Have you moved your body, exercised, gotten fresh air? Have you spoken to a friend or family member? And are you getting enough sleep? So, that's a way to stay grounded in your mental health. And if you find that any of that is slipping for yourself, Washington County Mental Health has a 24-hour helpline. That number is 802-229-0591. And we talk about mental health at the beginning of this program because we don't know if you've been able to get into the library. Maybe there's something holding you up from getting out of your house. So we're reaching out to you. Maybe it's just the weather because it's just so beautiful out there today. we totally understand if you didn't want to come out today to see us. But so anyway, that's how we start. As we said, we're celebrating Robert Burns today, Burns Night. Celebrating Burns Night.
Burns
is
Night,
what we're doing.
yes.
I'm going to do just a little bit of a shout out to the staff here at the Aldrich Public Library. We had Garrett working on sound and set design today, so we thank him. And in fact, we thank everyone when we do a program because it's not just Ian and I who are doing the program. We couldn't do programs like this if there weren't people covering the desk, if Rain wasn't downstairs covering Ian's room, and if Emery and our sub today weren't covering the front desk. Those things don't work. So we need everybody on staff covering the desks, processing books, shelving books, providing IT support. And I want to do another plug because it is winter about our book delivery. We have outreach program here. We have an outreach librarian here at the Aldrich. We have a book item delivery. You could have books or magazines, probably even DVDs, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Karen, if you get in touch with us, she'll pack you up a bag, and she works with a group of volunteers that will deliver to you. So you can come in and get this form, or you can call us. And we'll set you up with some delivery. So when we sit here today, we represent a whole team of people working at the library. That is your behind the scenes look at the Aldrich today. I always represent a team when I come before you, and the team here is fabulous, and I'm quite proud to work with them.
So a little bit about
Robert Burns. On to Robert Burns.
Transition, yeah. So January 25th was Robert Burns' birthday. So he was born in, I believe, 1759, and January 25th became the day that they celebrated Robert Burns Day, or Burns Night. So this began, I think, maybe 6 or 7 years after Robert Burns' death. Friends would get together and they would have a meal, and they would share some Robert Burns poetry, share some music, and maybe have a dram or two, and have some haggis and neeps and tatties. And those were the first Burns Nights.
Burns Nights.
And they have continued every year since, and they've grown larger, and they've traveled around the world. Like they're celebrated in Australia, they're celebrated in Canada, they're celebrated everywhere. And I'm trying to remember how many Robert Burns statues there are in the world as well, but there are like 6, 7, maybe 8 Robert Burns statues. But we are fortunate enough to have, I think, one of the most beautiful Robert Burns statues right here in our very own town, Barre. So, and I have to say, I visited Alloway in Ayrshire back in 2017. I've got to tell you this story. I was waiting at the bus station to go to the Birthplace Museum in Alloway, and there was this little old lady there that I was chatting with, and she knew about our statue in Barre. Oh! Yes, I mentioned that I was from Barre, and she said, "Oh, you have a statue of your very own." And so it turned out that she and her husband had been visiting in Montpelier, and someone had said, "Well, you've got to visit Barre because they've got a statue of Robert Burns."
Wow.
And so she came to Barre to see our statue. So here I was over in Scotland, and there was this person who already knew about our statue in little old Barre, So...
Wow.
But I did get a chance to see theirs over there. And theirs is cast in bronze. And it's very similar to ours. Robert Burns is standing on a pedestal, and each of the panels has a different poem, a different picture from a different poem. And one panel, I believe, showing his birthplace, his cottage in Alloway. So we do have a treat for you coming up in a little bit.
In a little bit.
Yes, we're going to be going up the hill to the Historical Society, and we'll show you the Robert Burns statue there. I just wanted to give you a little bit of background about Robert Burns. So Robert Burns was a Scottish poet, and he came from very humble background. He was a farmer, a ploughman, in the lowlands of Scotland in the late 1700s. And he began writing poetry, ended up in the city in Edinburgh, and made it really big. He did a really great job there. People really loved his poetry. And what was really big about Robert Burns' poetry, his poetry was written in the Scots dialect. And that was the language of the people. It was not high educated language. He was an educated man, but he was writing in the language of the people. And this will give you a flavor of the Scots dialect in a little bit. But so we're going to start, I think.
We're going to start with Bread and Roses, I think.
Yes!
Bread and Roses
We are going to start with, actually, this is a book by Katherine Paterson. And she is a author who lived in Barre for many, many years, and a very prolific author. And our children's room is named after her, the Katherine Paterson Children's Room.
I think the YouTube channel everybody might be on right now is the Katherine Paterson Children's Room.
Yeah. So this is a book that she wrote about the Bread and Roses labor strike. And this strike took place down in Lowell, Massachusetts, and many of the families that were involved in the strike sent their children up to Barre to get them out of harm's way, while the strike was going on. And so all these children were pouring into Barre, and at the time, this is early 1900s. This is just around the time actually when the Robert Burns statue was built. I think that it was 10, 15 years before that it had been built.
Right.
It was very much an immigrant city, and there were many immigrants coming in from Europe, from Scotland, from Ireland, from Italy, to work in the granite quarries here in Barre. So that's just to give you a little bit of background. So at this point in the story, Duncan the Scot is giving one of our narrators, one of our main characters, Jake, a tour of some of the granite statues of Barre, and he brings him up to the Robert Burns statue.
This is from Bread and Roses 2 by Katherine Paterson, published by Clarion Books in New York City. Jake trailed the big Scot down the stairs. There was a truck standing in the street, the engine putt-putting, as though impatient to be off.
"Hop in,"
Duncan said. Jake climbed up into the passenger seat. Duncan started down Brook Street and turned left on Main. They were heading toward the town green, toward the city hall, where, Jake knew from his walks around town, there was a police station. He could hardly breathe. At the green, however, instead of bearing to the right toward the city hall, Duncan bore left, up a slight grade. Then he stopped the truck at the tip of a triangular piece of land, well short of the imposing brick building that stood farther up the grade.
"See it?"
Duncan asked. Jake was so relieved that he hadn't parked in front of the city hall that he wasn't even looking straight. "See what? That building up there?"
"No, not the school. The monument. There."
Now he saw it. In the point of land, as though looking down on all the activities of the town, high on a carved pedestal was a tall granite statue of a man with a coat slung over one arm.
"That's our own Bobby Burns, it is. We Scots paid a pile of money to have that done. Mr. Garbati wanted you to see it."
What in the blazes was going on? Was Garbati trying to tease him the way a cat toys with a mouse before killing it? And who the devil was Bobby Burns?
"Get out! You have to look close. It's probably the bonniest granite sculpture in the world."
Duncan set the brake and hopped out of the truck. Jake climbed down and accompanied the big Scot over to the statue, which towered over them both, more than 3 times taller than Duncan himself.
"Every big city puts its monuments to generals and war heroes, but when it came to the 100th anniversary of our Bobby's death, the Scots here wanted the whole town to remember that he was Scotland's greatest poet. The Italians understood. They worship men who write operas. But we couldn't do it ourselves. We mostly get the stone out of the hill. It's the Italians who are the artists. We hired the best that Barclay's shed had to offer. Barclay was one of us Scots, but his carvers were Italian. Novelli and Corti. Novelli carved the great man himself, but look, these panels under the statue, they were Corti's work. Corti was Garbati's teacher. Mr. Garbati followed him here from the old country."
Jake was studying the panels under the statue. There were 4 scenes, one on each side of the pedestal. Duncan took off his right glove and fingered a panel.
"These are from the poems. All but this one. This is his own wee cottage in Ayr. Here."
He took Jake's finger and made it trace the lines of the cottage.
"See, you have to feel it. Bas relief. Harder to do, I think, than a statue."
The big Scot shook his head.
"God help us. What a waste,"
he said.
"It was just a crazy thing. A fight between the socialists and the anarchists in the Labour Hall, and someone had a gun. Corti wasn't even there for the fight. He was just standing in the wrong place, and some crazy anarchist shoots his pistol off and boom! The greatest carver this side of Italy is dead."
"Do you know..." How could Jake ask the question? "Do you know why Garbati wanted you to show me this?"
"Mr. Garbati? I'm not sure. He just called and said he wanted you to see this before you left town. I guess he didn't want you to fail to see the most beautiful thing in the city."
Jake's stomach gave a lurch. "Did he tell you I was leaving?"
"Well, I guess he figures the strike will be over soon, and all you kids will be leaving."
"Oh, yeah."
I wanted to be sure you didn't miss this.
Why didn't he show me himself?
He must have thought I could explain it better, being a Scot. Besides, I can always borrow my brother's truck. It's a cold walk from the North End.
Duncan grinned and put his glove back on.
Come on. I want to show you one more thing before I take you home.
The word home sent a spike through Jake's belly, as though the Garbati's house could ever be home to the likes of him.
And that's where we're going to leave it. But I hope you'll come in and check that out. We have multiple copies. It's a really wonderful book, and it's a great middle grade read. I think that 4th through 8th and adults and teens would all enjoy it. It makes a great read aloud.
Thank you, Katherine Paterson.
Thank you, Katherine Paterson.
Yeah.
Yes, and thank you. Wonderful reading.
That was great.
That was a lot of fun. So now I think we're going to head up the hill and take a look at the statue that we were just reading about.
We're off.
Sounds good. See you in just a moment. That was great. So here we are in beautiful downtown Barre, and we are in front of the Vermont History Center, the Vermont Historical Society, and this is the Robert Burns statue. So this was erected by admirers of Burns, 1899.
1899.
1899.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's quite beautiful.
Absolutely. Carved out of Barre
granite, right?
Barre granite.
Barre
yes.
granite. Beautiful details on the reliefs on the bottom.
And we'll get a quick close-up in just a moment of those beautiful carvings there on the pedestal.
We took a nice walk up here. It's not the best of days, but actually, oh look, and it just got quiet too. It's not the worst of days, but we figured we wanted to come see him because what is it? Burns Day? What did you?
So the 25th is Burns Night.
Burns Night.
That's actually his birthday.
His birthday.
He was born in I believe 1759 on January 25th, and since a couple of years after his death, they've been meeting to celebrate Robert Burns, and they read Robert Burns poetry, they eat haggis, they have a dram or two, and they read Robert Burns poetry to celebrate the Bard of Scotland.
So we will do the same.
So yes, we'll read some of the verse. Yeah, we'll read some of the verse. Some of his poetry to commemorate Robert Burns. And I think you asked the question earlier, why Robert Burns in the middle of Barre, Vermont?
Yeah, yes, I did.
So we had so many Scots who came to Barre to work in the granite quarries, in the granite industry. Many of them came from Aberdeenshire. Aberdeen was the granite city of Scotland.
Uh-huh.
So many of them came to work here in the quarries, and there were so many Scots here that they really wanted to commemorate Robert Burns and put their stamp on the city. So this statue was built with money that they raised.
Well, they got a beautiful spot.
They really did.
They have a beautiful spot. It's not at the top of the hill, but it's getting there.
Yep.
It overlooks this downtown and the churches and the beautiful architecture in Barre.
And back in the day, before this was the Vermont History Center, this was the old Spalding Graded High School. So it was right in front of the school, so young people would pass by the statue every day.
It's great.
It is. Yeah.
We should also give a nod that this is where the Vermont Department of Libraries offices are.
Absolutely.
Our neighbors.
Our neighbors, the Vermont Department of Libraries.
Yes, right here. So should we go look at it?
Let's go take a
close
look.
Take a look.
Okay, so as you can see, each of these panels has a different picture from one of Robert Burns' poems. Just as we read in the Katherine Paterson reading from Bread and Roses 2.
And read that one for us.
A spring brought off her master hail, but left behind her ain grey tail. So this is a line from the end of the poem Tam O'Shanter. and you can see that Tom is being pursued by a horde of witches and bogles. And the belief was that witches and bogles and fairies couldn't cross running water. So if he could cross over the brig, then he was safe. But you can see that one of the witches caught hold of the horse's tail and ripped it right off. So that's the scene that is being depicted right there. The Cutty sock caught hold of the tail and pulled it off. So that's one side, one panel. Then we've got over here from scenes like these, old Scotia's grandeur springs. And I believe this is from Potter's Night, another one of his poems. I will duck around to the back here and I'll show you the panel on the back. So all the scenes here are from poems from Robert Burns, except for this one. This is Burns' cottage in Alloway, where Robert Burns was born.
It's a very sweet one.
It is, yeah.
The intricacies of the carving is beautiful.
So this was carved by, I believe, Elia Corti, the famous Italian stone carver. And we heard a little bit about him as well in the reading from Bread and Roses too. Yeah.
Well, that was a great field trip.
That was a great field trip. That was a cold field trip.
That was a cold field trip.
It's very Scottish weather out there. They would say that it's a drich day. Drochige.
So we're having our tea, which I failed to mention. You know, part of Frankenstein tea is having some tea, and we hope you have some and enjoying a time out while we have some fun here with you. Enjoy your tea. We need it. It's cold.
It is cold out there. Cold and wet.
So, this is all a learning experience for me here, as I am new to Barre and to Vermont, and I love that part of this program. I'm learning things, and you know, we were talking about that earlier. That between the team, we can put stuff together. So I didn't know much today, but I now know that John W. Gordon was the self-proclaimed or town-proclaimed?
I think he was town-proclaimed, yeah.
Town-proclaimed.
Poet laureate of Barre.
Of Barre.
Yeah.
So there's a beautiful book in our collection, A Voice of the Hills, poems by John Warren Gordon, Barre, Vermont, 1917. It was published by Capital City Press Publishers in Montpelier, Vermont. It's in our Vermont room. It's part of the Vermont collection and is labeled on the spine as such. And he wrote a poem about that statue we were just at.
For the dedication of the statue.
For the dedication of the statue. That poem was published 1917.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Well, it was printed in 1917.
He probably wrote it at the dedication, which we've sort of messed up a couple times.
I think it's 1896, but 1899 is the date on the statue.
Okay.
So I believe that's correct.
Okay. And so he writes it then, and it gets published in this book in 1917.
Correct.
That was the history that I was sort of trying to navigate. You already know Ian had the Scottish parts. But I'm going to give this a shot.
And just to put it in a little bit of context, so 1807, I believe, was when this library was built. So,
1907.
Oh, 1907, yes. 1807. 1907, yes.
Right, so the statue goes up.
Yes, and so this was...
The building gets built.
Yeah.
As a library, right from the start.
Right from the start, yes.
Right from the start.
So it's just around the same time period.
Yeah. And when was Bread and Roses?
1927, I want to say. So
yeah.
It's about maybe like 20 years afterwards.
Right, but the statue has to be up because they're going to visit and stuff.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So John Warren Gordon writes this for the dedication of the statue to the city.
Correct.
This is from A Voice of the Hills, This poem is called Burns. And it was Robbie Burns who sang so sweet of lovely Ayrshire braes and bonny Doon. All of the melodies of song did meet to swell the chorus of his lyric tune. Alike to him the rose and thistle grew, the daisy and the mouse were noble theme. 'Twa dogs, philosophers as wise and true as those who delve in classic learning's stream. Of rant and cant the strong and certain foe, as keepers of twa herds fu well can tell, and quackish Dr. Hornbrooks well may know, upon whose shams his arrows quickly fell. The deal like sin a broomstone roasting got, that left him sair as Tam O'Shanter's mare. 'Twas worse by far since Angel Michael's shot, when hosts on heavenly plain were gauged in war. As moralist oft times sagacious true, to him our pleasures were like poppy spread, like river melted flake or rainbow hue, like flower seized or flitting light that's fled. He gave the highest praise to women fair. He told us how that nature first made man with prentice hand, and then with greater care she made the lassies on a better plan. Lang lang as heart shall know the tender flame, and body make a body laugh or cry. The tongue shall not forget the singer's name, who sang the song of comin' through the rye. When age shall whiten beard and bend the form, and friends of youth their place must soon resign, in simmers sultry heat or winter storm, the voice shall calm the lines of Auld Lang Syne. When old companions on life's further slope recall the canty days of long ago, they'll walk with firmer step and brighter hope, remembering John Anderson, my Joe. When titled lords look down on kith and kin, despising Howden Gray and simple Samp, as if the common wore the badge of sin, will know the rank is but the guinea's stamp. In every patriot's veins for aye shall burn the godlike praise that Highland heroes won, for doughty deeds at bloody Bannockburn, when Edward's day of tyranny was done. And Scotia's grandeur stronger yet shall spring from prayerful scene beneath the cotter's roof, and every clime and age shall joy to bring its praise and laurels as affection's proof. Oft fortune was severe, but sadder gay, a boon the ills o' life he wore a smile, that makes the world rejoice to bless the day and hour there was a lad was born in Kyle. Today our poet stands in granite mold, so weal and deftly wrought by loving hands, but half the good he did is still untold. In song he worketh yet in all the lands. His deed was broader than a plan or book. For pure old Scotland's sake, he sang a song, and earth and sky a fresher glory took. As over all his light shone bright and strong, still flowers bloom beside the bonny Doon. The heather sweetly grows on Highland brae, unchanged as these, as cycles forward run, shall be the songs that gladden us today. We take the gift that you so freely give, be thank it for the purpose and the art. His nobler thoughts you'll make us better live, his name shall be a truer treasure of the heart.
Well done! And just to let you guys know, what the poet did there was kind of like work a whole bunch of titles of different different poems from Robert Burns into his poem. And there are a lot of different references to all those different poems that Robert Burns wrote. So, and a little bit of Scots too, and you did a great job with the Scots.
A little bit. We do practice.
Yes.
We do practice. As much fun as we have, we're taking it seriously, and so I did practice and asked for some help. So I read it a few times now today, and this time I heard all the references to the songs.
Yes.
Which is what you started with, I think what we're going to close with.
What we're going to close with.
Yeah. So that's pretty neat so re-listen to us.
Yes.
Because you get more out of it.
And 1896, the reason, 1896, the reason that they erected the statue was because it was the centenary of his death.
That's right. We did learn that today.
Yeah, we learned that as well. So now I'm going to give you a little sample of Robert Burns' poetry in my best Scots. So I'll do my best here for you. This is one of my favorites. This is called To a Mouse, on turning up her nest with the plow, November 1785. And so last week we read lots of Robert Frost poetry. And I commented on the fact that I think oftentimes Robert Burns was very much in touch with the natural environment and nature, and oftentimes the natural environment and the landscape would be a reflection of his own internal mood. So for Robert Burns, once again, he often was very much in touch with nature, and this is a poem about a mouse. But for Robert Burns, the natural world was more of a reflection, I think, of society and human nature. And very similar to Robert Frost, it would be sort of what would cause him to meditate and reflect upon human nature, as he definitely does in this poem. So, To a Mouse. Wee, sleeket, cowering, timorous beastie. Oh, what a panic's in thy breastie! Thou needna start awa sae hasty with bickering brattle. I would be laith to rin and chase thee with murder and battle. I'm truly sorry man's dominion has broken nature's social union, and justifies that ill opinion which makes thee startle at me, thy poor earth-born companion and fellow mortal. I doubt nae whiles but thou may thieve. What then? Poor beastie, thou mun live. A demonicker and a thrave's a small request. I'll get a blessing with a lave and ne'er miss it. Thy wee bit housey too, in ruin. Its silly walls the winds are strewin', and nothing now to big a new un. O foggage green, and bleak December's winds ensuing, both snell and keen. Thou saw the fields laid bare and wast, and weary winter coming fast, and cosy here beneath the blast thou thought to dwell, till crash the cruel coulter passed out through thy cell. That wee bit heap o' leaves and stibble has cost thee mony a weary nibble. Now thou's turned out for all thy trouble, but house or hold to thaw the winter sleety dribble and cranrach cold. But Mousie, thou art not alane. Improving foresight may be vain. The best laid schemes o' mice and men gang after gley, and leave us naught but grief and pain for promised joy. Still, thou art blessed, compared with me. The present only toucheth thee, but och, backward I cast my ee on prospects drear, and forward though I cannot see, I guess and fear.
Wow!
Thank you very much.
Wow, so good.
Hopefully that's not too portentous about 2024. Forward though I cannot see, I guess in fear. I've enjoyed reciting that one for the past few years, and it seemed very apt for the past few years because it has been so unpredictable the last few years.
Yeah. I was amazed at how much I could understand.
Oh yeah.
That's amazing.
So
you acted some of it.
Oh,
you gave us some clues.
Clues, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's Scots is very close to English.
Yeah.
And it's very closely related. It's much closer, I think, to English than it is to Scottish Gaelic.
Mm-hmm.
But there's definitely a little bit of Scottish Gaelic in there. So Cronlach Hold. So, but
you study that as well.
Scots Gaelic, yes. So I'm studying Scots Gaelic as well now. Yeah. So, but I don't claim to be an expert in the Scots language. I do my best.
And you did very well.
Thank you very much.
Very well.
Thank you very much indeed. Well, I hope that you all enjoyed that little taste of Robert Burns poetry there.
Should we do some announcements before we finish with you?
Before we finish up.
So my announcements, let's see, do I have a note about announcements? Maybe a few. You wanted to remember Dabble Day.
Yes. So families that have children ages birth to 6, Dabble Day is coming up. Dabble Day, it's a really great event. We've held it in the past at Spalding High School and at the auditorium, and this year it's going to be at St. Monica's St. Michael's School in their gymnasium and in their cafeteria. So a big thank you to St. Monica's St. Michael's School for allowing us to use that space this year. It's a great opportunity for kids and for families to come together, and lots of messy fun. So there'll be oobleck, there'll be snow, we're making glittery valentines, and there's a lot of activity that's going to be going on. So it's a great opportunity for families in the dead of winter to come out and get together, have some fun. Every kid gets a free book, so definitely come on down. That's the first Saturday of February 3rd. And it's going to be from 10 o'clock a.m. to noon. So, Dabble Day.
Excellent. Full steam ahead?
Full steam ahead is going to be starting next Thursday, and that's for grades 4th, 5th, and 6th. It's an after-school science program, completely free for kids. They do have to register. The link for that is on our Facebook page, and it's also on www.aldrichpubliclibrary.org/STEAM. STEAM.
Excellent. I'm going to plug again the Black History Month reads here at the Aldrich. We're going to read Pet first. We have copies of books, both of these books to check out at the front desk. Please come in and get one. People have been reading Pet and enjoying it and find it interesting. So Pet is at the front desk. And then at the end of the month, we're going to read Ring Shout. Great book. I often, people ask, probably you as well all the time, what's your favorite thing to read? And one of my favorites, maybe not always, is historical fiction. And
me too.
The historical fiction. And so this book, I found myself Googling all the time. Is this real? Did that happen? What is this talking about? I miss this. I don't know this history. Really interesting book, full of things that... not that Google is always right, but
right, they're right.
The things that did happen. This is they call this. I think they call both of them. I think both of these are speculative fiction, which is not always my genre, but I enjoyed both of these, and so I picked these to celebrate Black History Month. This is February 1st, Thursday night at 5:30. This is 28 or 29. They're both on our website, also at 5:30. Also a Thursday.
And February is coming up, and that's Black History Month, and I think that we'll probably be reading some literature as well.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. Come back next month.
Stay tuned. Come back, but enjoy this.
Yes. So we're going to close with if you know Robert Burns, probably you know this song, "Auld Lang Syne." It's a good way to welcome in the new year.
And close January.
Close January, yes.
Close it down.
Here we go, right into 2024.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for coming.
I do have to say, we're not doing a second take. You're not watching us live, but that was live, and that was excellent.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, that was excellent. We're signing off. Have a great weekend. Stay well, stay warm, stay safe, and enjoy yourselves. Keep reading.
And keep reading.
Keep
yes.
reading. Keep reading.